Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger and my friends. We got a lot more Mortal Kombat 1 information for you today thanks to a Kombat Kast happening. And we got character info on Ashrah, Smoke, and Geras, and also a bit more info about some of the cameos, and some of that stuff's pretty good. Like, we now know the Sub-Zero cameo can make you immune against all projectiles. That's pretty wild. But we'll cover the cameos in its own section here. I'll timestamp everything for you. So first, let's start in the order they went with, and let's start with Smoke. Smoke's pretty crazy. So Smoke, out of the gate, let's make no bones about it, Smoke is your degenerate mix-up character. He's going to be the character that you're just not going to know which way to block, and he's got a lot of things to help with that. And also, aesthetically, Smoke is the most ninja he's ever been now, thanks to his curved blades and his style. So what makes Smoke a mix-up monster exactly? So let's start with step one. Back two. Back two is a very long-reaching, fast overhead. And yes, as you can see, there is indeed string follow-ups. So fast, long-range overhead, extra damage with a string, and perhaps one of those string follow-up hits might be special cancelable, and if so, then the damage is going to go through the roof. And of course, if you have the overhead, then, well, you need the low next, right? And funnily enough, he does have a low starter, and also that has a string follow-up as well. That could be something as simple as like back three, and if that is also special cancelable, then lots of damage off lows, lots of damage off overheads. And it's basically baked into his entire kit. Like, the smoke bomb is effectively a teleport, right? He throws the smoke bomb, it will track you wherever you are, no matter how far or how close. And the hit, that is also an overhead. Also, if you choose to enhance it, so has that same property, puts you directly on top of the enemy, except there's no follow-up. Oh, and by the way, you're completely invisible. So, since it's normally, without enhanced, an overhead, right, it removes the auto-block proposition, because now you can just do it and immediately go low, right? They can't see. Like, you can't see. Overhead low, who knows what it's going to be? Since you reset the neutral instead of doing the automatic attack follow-up, you get to choose. Even the most belligerent of people on Twitter saying, oh, I just fuzzy guard every overhead low setup, right? If you can't see this stuff, no, man, you're gonna get hit. Like, it's just how it's gonna be. And Lord forbid there's like a Jax cameo, and instead of you worrying about high-low, you get thrown instead, and they dump all the meter into the Jax throw and beat you that way. I've brought it up before, and I'll say it again later in this video, but the general power levels of Mortal Kombat 1, the characters and the stuff they have, is the highest it's been in a very, very long time, and I like that a lot. Also has a more generic teleport strike, where it just pops you up. So it comes in from the other side. Looks to be a low starter. I hope it isn't, because a low hitting teleport's too much for me. And also, enhanced is a full combo starter, and you get air combos and everything. So yeah, good stuff. You can also freely cancel the teleport. Doesn't take any resource as far as I can see, which means you can also use it in block strings to help reset yourself. Oh, and you can enhance the cancel teleport, and if you enhance the cancel teleport, then you just turn invisible. So we have multiple moves to turn yourself invisible. Invisibility on a high mix character is going to be jacked up, to say the least. And in keeping with all these mobility options here, we also have just teleport dash, which has an auto attack follow-up, and it does go through fireballs, which is great. So you can see right here, it just goes through fireballs, and if you enhance it, it cancels it into nothing. So you can go for high-low mix, go for a throw, go for whatever you want. So all the mix, and he has utility too, like the knife toss here, controls a large part of the air. So if you try to jump on him, he can just hit you with the knife, it automatically slams you to the ground and brings you in, which is great. And on the enhanced version, obviously does more damage. And when it brings you in, it brings you basically all the way in with fairly significant advantage in their face. So this probably could be a go-to combo ender, especially with the mix and the blender, right? So Smoke's a dirty, dirty boy. And not just because his name's Smoke and he's got dirty smoke all over him, right? The mix, the gimmicks, man, this is like reliving the MKX days. And they did give us a peek here with a developer match, right? And you can see some of the other things, like he has stand 1 anti-air into full combo. That seems pretty all right. I mentioned using EX up knife for additional pressure, and that's exactly how they end the combo, calling in the cameo, and then getting pressure on Li Mei out of the gate. I mentioned how you can use the fake outs to also pressure. After seeing the initial string get blocked, they go for the teleport dash cancel to reset neutral in front of their face and try again, and this time it works. So pressure and mix, that's what a lot of people like in fighting games. So I think if you like that kind of stuff, you're definitely going to like Smoke. One last thing to sell you on the character here. So jump in, combo, string, right? Basic, right? But special cancels the string, once again going for the dash cancel, and that doesn't reset the combo. So it get to link the combo again, do a new string, and then launch the enemy, doing the up knife setup that we've seen, right? Enhanced for the extra knockdown, extra pressure, and then we call in the Kameo, and we'll talk about Kameo sector later as well, but this seems like a really good assist. Forces the lockdown, more pressure, more chip, right? And then what happens here yet again? Another cancel, fakes out the enemy, and then forces them to mash to hit him out with down one, and then go for the throw. That's it, that's all, right? So pressure, 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 mix, mix, mix. You're gonna like this character, I'm pretty sure. Now, let's turn to Ashrah. So Ashrah, of the 3 characters shown today, I think we get the least amount of time with her. But on a level, I also think she's probably the least complex of the 3 characters, as she's good normals, sword character, right? Sword characters, good normals, which makes sense in fighting games, right? And not too tricky, but as I did call it, so I feel pretty good about this in the breakdown of the trailer. So she is indeed a stance character, and she does indeed apply debuff. So let's talk about that. So as she currently stands, without anything else, this is the default stance, I guess you can call it, the light stance for lack of a better term. And then with a command, you can switch stances, and then she applies, for lack of a better term, the dark stance to her sword, and then her game plan changes up. So first off, this completely changes her moveset, basically. So for this example here, a semi-projectile here with the sword tossed out, and this is aimable, by the way, has a close, medium, and far version. So good space control out of the gate, right? Just having this dark sword buff up. Also, you can see the purple debuff swirling around Liu Kang, and we'll get to that in a moment. However, in light stance, this is a completely different move. It is the same move, but your stance changes how the move works, right? So now it's a slower projectile. It doesn't quite go full screen, but the projectile itself is very wide and tall. So I'm very sure this is a mid, so no neutral ducking this bad boy, and might be a little bit more difficult to jump. So your stance changes how the default base special moves work. So for another example here, so she has a sort of like teleport dash attack. So she'll send the ghost out and then hit you with the big double palm. And this is Arrow K2, by the way. And she can do this, hit you with the thing, or she can do a quick slice follow-up, or she can cancel the ghost early and not do anything. For reference, this right here is the quick slice, can also switch sides. And this is the cancel, where she'll remain in place and no follow-up happens. Now in dark stance, it's reversed. So you still send out the ghost, but instead of attacking, you teleport basically to where the ghost ends up. No unsafe attack necessarily. You can still do the quick attack follow-up, but the big double palm attack isn't there. So if you cancel the ghost in light stance, and you can cancel it in dark stance as well, you don't go anywhere, but this one's basically like a Athena King of Fighters teleport. It gives it a different layer of mobility. Now let's talk the debuff. So the swirling purple lines around Liu Kang, that is 3 layers of debuff. You can stack it up to 3 times. And every time you hit someone with a dark stance move, it applies 1 layer of debuff. So that's easy enough to understand, right? So you build up the stacks of the debuff, once again up to a maximum of 3, and then you go into light stance, and this is how you cash out. Light stance moves burn the debuff, and basically every debuff you burn while doing a light stance move, that move will do additional damage. You can see a extra big flash every time you burn one of the debuffs from the dark stance. So almost like an MMO mechanic, right? You build up your stacks in one stance, and then you burn them all down for extra damage in the other stance. And we have a few other moves we can get to see what the dark stance equivalent is, unfortunately. Big sword rush, just chops the enemy. Also, soft launch in the corner, maybe able to get like a corner combo if you do the EX. And then this big guy here where it's just a big old launch, and if you enhance it, it's a free air combo. Unfortunately, we got to see the least from Ashrah, but what's there, I think, is pretty interesting. I do like the angelic theme, too, by the way. I think that's really cool. Like, she's like a paladin, but a demonic paladin, trying to redeem herself, right? But yeah, the whole Sword Master thing, light stance, dark stance, build stacks, burn stacks, that I do like. And hopefully we can get another look at her showcasing more of her moves in the future. Okay, so if you follow the channel at all, you know I'm going to be biased on this one, but to me, Geras is far and away the most interesting of the 3 characters shown. One, and most importantly, he's the one with the command grab, and he has a very interesting mechanic in building up stacks of time and then burning the stacks of time for some really cheap moves. So that said, let's start with the time mechanic first, because it's pretty wild. So the clock mechanic, he summons a clock above his head, easy enough to understand, right? And if you summon specifically 3 clocks, then he will unlock basically a super for free. If you remember his old back forward 1 enhanced time stop from MK11, well, imagine that anywhere on screen and guaranteed combo and you're done. We've seen examples of this from the trailer, right? This truly is an anywhere on screen gotcha move into full combo, so that's really, really strong. Now, it is blockable, and it does take 3 of the lanterns to set up, right? So it's hardly free and you can do it at will. One thing to notice though, if you're willing to spend a bar, the enhanced version of the clock move gives you all 3 clocks, as it were, at once, so you can do the move right away. So if you don't want to build it up over the course of a match, if you're willing to burn the meter, then things will get a lot easier for you. Also, with 3 clock stacks, there's more than one thing you can do. You can do like the old MK11 variation and basically teleport your way across the screen and regain all the health you just lost from whatever combo you just got hit by, right? So building 3 clocks, getting those stacks up, and you unlock 2 super, super powerful moves, that's going to be a big part of the Geras game plan in MK1. And once again, just like I mentioned with Smoke, general character power is so much higher in MK1 than it is in MK11. That's why we can have crazy moves like this. Also, to note, any move that brings out the clock, like say Geras' string hit grab here, where he brings out the clock and smashes your head through it, right? That will also build a clock stack. So it's more than just, you backing up and summoning the stacks, right? There's multiple ways to build it up over the course of a match. Other moves for Geras, he has basically a big sand tornado, similar to the old sand pillars, and it does launch you up. And depending on where it hits you, depends on whether it launches you forwards or backwards. So they have a string example here. They do drop the combo, unfortunately, right? But launches you upwards here, and then you could probably get like an easy stand 1 into whatever combo follow-up. Now, the enhanced version. So it works also like classic MK11 Geras in that it's on a bit of a time stop. So it's good in multiple ways. One, just like MK11, it's a big no-fly zone, right? Like this part of the screen is gonna explode in a few seconds. So you better get out of dodge, and if you're trying to get out of dodge, that means you're probably gonna do something like jump or dash or out or whatever, and I'm probably gonna try to punish you for it. So good in all those tricky screen control kind of ways you would expect, right? But also, cause it's a clock, it does add to the clock stacks. So on top of the benefits of controlling space and all that kind of stuff, you're building up stacks to your effective super moves. So once again, you don't just got to stand back and like do the move where you build the stack, right? You can do it offensively either through hit grabs or through special moves like this. I think this is a really, really cool and strong mechanic overall. The classic Geras back forward 1 returns, much better animation, I will say. So one of the benefits here, if you're not burning meter, you actually choose which side you land on, right? So being able to control your side, which is a theme we'll go into, is a thing with Geras, and I like that a lot. And if you enhance it, then it's just like MK11, right? So capture state, do whatever combo you want to do, big damage. And just like MK11, both versions of the time stop, this one and the super version, whatever the last move you do to the enemy affects the momentum. So in the case of the big stomp string, that pops up on the last hit normally, so when the time stop ends, it pops them up, and then free easy air juggle combo. Now let's get to the part that I know y'all clicked the video for, the command grabs, right? Y'all know I'm obsessed with the command grabs. So Geras command grab, a few things to note out of the gate. One, you choose which side they land up on, right? And there's a good amount of corner carry, right? Like a good amount of the screen is traversed during these grabs. So you can throw them backwards, you can throw them forwards, your choice. Now, a thing to note is for this utility, you are paying a little bit of a price, right? The damage is actually pretty low. So both grabs by themselves are 120. So that's regular throw damage, because regular throw damage in this game has been nerfed since MK11. It used to be 14%, now it's 12%, right? So this base grab in and of itself does not do any more damage than a normal grab. Although, once again, a lot more corner carry. Either way, you choose the side, and obviously as a command grab, it cannot be teched. And hopefully there'll be like tech throw setups and all that kind of stuff as well. Another thing, even with the lower damage, is the utility, right? So you can see from the start of this that the grab range is effectively very large. Like, ain't no normal throw ever hitting anyone from this kind of range, right? So if Geras ever has you scared to block, even from, down 4-ish range, or poke range, right? He can always still command grab you as well. Now, the grab and the corner. So if you throw them into the corner, your reward honestly is very weak. Geras is a good deal away from you, so like you have the corner, but there's not necessarily any pressure. But if you throw them out of the corner, then you get an all-new throw. And you see here, Liu Kang's head gets conked against the wall, right? And smashed through, and this throw does 19% versus the normal 12% that it does. So it's still better to keep the corner than not, but if you're looking for the kill, that big burst of damage could be exceptional. And as we've seen from the trailer, this works on both sides of the corner, not just if your back's to the wall. So Geras has all sorts of utility. He still maintains his up 3 from MK11, but as like a special move now, right? And also that's his armored move too, so if you need to get off me, as it were, that would be the one. Other stuff we've seen from the trailer, he has all sorts of air hit grabs. And also, he always gets to choose which side he lands on. This is kind of a reoccurring theme, as you can tell, right? So you can do a hit grab, switch sides. You can do a hit grab in the air, stay same side. It doesn't really matter. He always gets the choice. And choice is very important in fighting games, right? Sometimes, you know, if you have a move that switches sides, that sucks and you didn't want it. Or you wish you had a move that could switch sides, right? Geras, in a lot of cases, can always determine which side he's going to land up on. And if you thought we are done with the silly, no. So, Sands of Times Geras. This is sort of his super armor, except not. So he hits himself with the buff, and then he's glowing. And then if you connect with him, if you hit him, he just returns back to his starting point. And don't get this confused. He can hit you just fine. But if you hit him, nothing happens other than he resets back to his neutral point that he's set. Which, honestly, the implications of this are beyond me at the moment. Like, this is something I'd actually have to play, because my mind's a flame of like what is and isn't possible in this kind of setup. But he gets to play a game of, if I get you, I get you, but if you get me, nothing happens. And he can just do that whenever. Like, and this move doesn't even cost meter. You can just do it for free. Like, the only penalty I can think of is, since it does take a second to start up, in the situations you would have that split second to do it, I guess instead you could also set up a clock. But Geras is spoiled for choice. Let's put it that way. Once again, the power levels of the characters, I keep saying this, the power levels of the characters in this game are incredibly high compared to what they used to be. Let me just say this right now. I am nothing short of incredibly impressed with Geras. The only thing that could ruin it is if his grab's a high. If his grab's a high, throw this game in the dumpster. Straight up. His grab needs to be a mid. No more high grabs. I hated that stuff in MK11. You should not be able to neutral duck a command grab in a 2D fighter. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, on the cameos now. This cameo kind of overshone the rest of me. This cameo from Sub-Zero, this is the first real cameo I think we've seen out of Sub-Zero. It gives you armor against projectiles, and hyper armor, basically. Like, you do not interact with the projectile. You are effectively invincible. It just bounces off you. It doesn't slow your stride. You do not take damage. You just are effectively like Jade, invincible to fireballs. So this is, to me, the strength of the cameo system right here. So, do you hate fireballs? Do you not want to fight zoners? Pick Sub-Zero. You're effectively immune to them now. You can just laugh that stuff off. However you want to tailor your game plan, you get to do it with this. We've seen plenty of cameos of, like, you know, help with the combo, control neutral. That's the easy stuff, right? Stuff like this is the really interesting stuff. Other things we've seen that are great for uniqueness value, right? Kung Lao lets you teleport regardless of what character you are. If you pick Kung Lao, you can always teleport. Kameo Scorpion, he lets you retreat with armor and gain space backwards whenever you want, right? So there's a lot more to the cameo system than just, here's an attack, here's how to help you do combo, which is great. You still want that too, to a degree, right? But this lets you customize your character so much better than any variation ever could in MKX and MK11. Like, we always talk about the mythical player expression in fighting games, and it has a lot more to do with just combos, right? To me, this is player expression. How you want to approach the fighting game, and the cameo is tailored to letting you do exactly that. Like, once again, I don't want to deal with fireballs. I hate zoning. It frustrates me. Now, I don't got to be frustrated because I can laugh this stuff off. You get to live through your own vision of how you want to do it. Just good stuff. Good stuff. Now, other cameo stuff we've seen. Goro, he has up punch. So visually, at least, very similar to how it appeared in MKX, and this is definitely going to be like the combo extension. It'll probably pop you up, you get to do whatever combo. That's easy enough to understand. Now, I guess the moneymaker here is the Shokan Stomp, right? So we already know from a previous trailer, this is actually true unblockable. We've seen people try to block this and get stomped out. So how do you balance an unblockable assist? Well, as they state in the Kombat Kast, this takes all of Goro's cameo meter, right? So you have to have everything like fully filled up, and this will drain everything. So this is a big one-off shot, and then you got to wait for it to rebuild, right? So an unblockable assist, probably a lot of ways you can be able to guarantee it, honestly. Like, knowing how MK works. So we're going to see how that goes. But yeah, that's going to be a really fun one. Probably the reason people pick Goro a lot of the time. Another assist we have from Goro is Punch Walk, because of course, like why wouldn't you have Punch Walk, right? And Geras is just kind of standing there, just looking in like, yep, that's some good Punch Walk, all right. So also has a little bit of a launch at the end. Looks like Geras recovers just before they hit the ground. So if you're in the corner specifically, you might be able to get like a down one into special or something like that. We'll see. And here's the really good one. So this is the toss. So another combo extender. I don't know if this is a true grab or not. I doubt it is. It'd be nice. But basically, big pop-up, do whatever air combo you want, and then just finish the combo, dunk him to the ground, easy damage. Goro, maybe not a revolutionary cameo, but the unblockable Shokan Stomp will definitely be like the main focus, for sure. Now, Sector, we got another taste here, and he looks really good. So he has the classic homing rocket, right? That's always been a frustrating move to deal with, and now you can just have it as an assist, so a not-so-hidden missile, as it were, right? And it comes and tracks down on you. Now, another thing to note here is I believe they call this ambush assists, ambush cameos. It doesn't require you to stay still to do it. You can just call it whenever, right? So, great example of Smoke has Li Mei knocked down, going to pressure on her wake up. And as an additional, hey, don't try anything funny on the pressure, we got the homing rocket also coming in on you, basically holding you in place and forcing me to pressure or mix up or whatever. Legit seems super strong. The Sector teleport uppercut also returns as well. So, as you can see, easy combo extensions, that part's fine, right? And he also appears wherever you are on the screen, so it tracks no matter where you are. So, point blank, full screen, doesn't matter. So it gives you a lot of screen presence. So if you're a character that's somewhat deficient in screen presence, then that would definitely shore it up, right? Now, the launcher, they don't get the follow-up. The fact that they tried it all, considering this is like a dev match, I'm going to assume it makes it possible, it just whiffed it, right? So on top of just being able to do a gotcha from full screen, it looks like there might also be combo opportunities. And for the other cameos like the Frost stuff, I already covered that on the channel in the Li Mei breakdown. You can find that linked at the end of this video, covering Li Mei and Frost in full. And this is a pretty dang good Kombat Kast. I'm glad they put this out. I hope they put out more in the future. They gave us a very solid idea on not only the characters' movesets, but what they should be aiming for in the middle of a match, which I always like. And that said, man, I'm more excited by the day for MK11. Everything looks better and better and better to me. Both the characters, cameos, everything. It's all looking real good. That said, though, I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.